Hello, everyone. I'm David. I spend a significant portion of my life, honestly, probably more than is healthy, obsessed with a single question. Why are we setting the next generation up for absolute financial failure before they even have a credit score? I want to start today by telling you a story. It's a story of two 18-year-olds. We'll call them Chloe and Mike. They grew up in the same zip code, sat in the same classrooms, and walked across the same stage on high school graduation day. They had the same starting point and, on paper, the same opportunities. But as they threw their caps in the air, they were actually stepping onto two completely different economic planets. Chloe did exactly what everyone, her parents, her teachers, her guidance counselors, told her to do. She followed the proven path. She enrolled in a reputable state university. She chose a major that sounded versatile, communications. She studied hard, she networked, she lived in the dorms, and she spent 4 years preparing for the real world. At age 22, she grabbed that diploma, felt the rush of accomplishment, and was immediately handed a bill. $100,000 in student loan debt. Before Chloe even earned her first real paycheck, she was $100,000 in the hole. She didn't just start at zero, she started at the bottom of a canyon. Then there's Mike. Mike took the path that makes people whisper at dinner parties. He skipped college. Instead of a dorm room, he took an entry-level job at a local logistics firm, making $36,000 a year. It wasn't glamorous. While Chloe was at football games and late-night study sessions, Mike was learning how supply chains work and how to manage a warehouse. He lived with his parents for the first 2 years, which allowed him to save aggressively. But here is the detail that no one talks about at high school graduation. At age 18, Mike started putting $300 a month into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Before we dive into the spreadsheets, I need to be very clear about what this video is and what it isn't. I am not anti-education. I'm not saying learning is bad or that knowledge doesn't have value. I'm an avid reader, a lifelong learner, and I believe in the power of specialized skill sets. What I am saying is that college has transformed. It is no longer just a place of higher learning. It has been repackaged as a high-stakes financial product. And like any financial product, whether it's a mortgage, a stock, or a life insurance policy, you need to understand the actual return on investment, or ROI, before you buy it. The problem is that we've been conditioned to see college as something sacred. It's treated as something beyond financial calculation, almost a moral imperative. You have to go to college has been drilled into multiple generations as an absolute, immutable truth. But the reality is that the math has completely changed, and the truth of 1980 is the lie of 2026. Let's look at the numbers. In 1980, the average cost of tuition, fees, and room and board at a public 4-year university was about $10,000 a year in today's inflation-adjusted dollars. That was a manageable sum. You could work a summer job, maybe a part-time gig at a library, and graduate with little to no debt. Today, that same education costs over $23,000 per year at in-state public schools. If you go private, you're looking at $55,000 or more. That is a 130% increase in real costs over 40 years. Now, if the cost of a product goes up by 130%, you would expect the value of the output to go up as well, right? But according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, real wages for college graduates have been essentially flat since the year 2000. The reality check. The cost of the product more than doubled, but the financial return has stayed exactly the same. If any other investment worked like this, you'd call it a scam. The 32-year debt anchor. I want to walk you through a detailed comparison of two paths. Follow these numbers carefully because this is the math the university admissions office won't show you. Scenario A, Chloe. Traditional path. Public university, graduates at 22 with $100,000 in debt at 6.5% interest. Median starting salary, $52,000. Monthly loan payment, $1,136. Scenario B, Mike. Direct to work path. Starts at 18, salary is $35,000, no debt, invests $400 a month at 8% annual return. Let's look at them when they are both 22 years old. Chloe has the degree and a $52,000 salary, but after her $1,136 monthly loan payment, her effective take-home pay is actually lower than Mike's. She earns more gross, but she has less wealth-building money. She has less to spend on a house, less to invest for retirement, and less to handle an emergency. When we model this out in a spreadsheet, accounting for 3% annual raises and 8% market returns, the crossover point, the age at which the college graduate finally has a higher net worth than the person who skipped college, doesn't happen at 30 or 40. In this median scenario, the college graduate doesn't catch up until age 54. Let that sink in. You spent the ages of 18 to 22 studying so that you could finally be wealthier than a high school graduate when you are in your mid-50s. You spent 32 years, the prime of your physical life, the years you are raising a family and building a home, in a worse financial position than if you had never gone to college at all. The major matters a lot. Now, I hear the pushback already. David, you're cherry picking. What about doctors? What about engineers? You're 100% right. The ROI of college isn't just one single number, it's a spectrum. According to the Foundation for Equal Opportunity, about 1/4 of college programs leave students financially worse off than if they had never attended, a 25% failure rate. For high-return majors like computer science, nursing, accounting, or electrical engineering, the break-even age is much lower, often in the early 30s. These degrees provide a massive lifetime earnings premium that easily justifies the debt. But the majority of students aren't in those majors. Only about 18% of bachelor's degrees are in STEM fields. The other 82% are in social sciences, humanities, psychology, and communications. Let's look at the median early career salaries for those fields in 2026. Social work, $38,000. Psychology, $36,000. Fine arts, $35,000. If you take on $100,000 in debt to earn a $36,000 salary, you aren't investing in your future. You are participating in a math problem that has no solution. You will retire poorer than the person who spent those 4 years working at a warehouse. The psychological trap: predatory lending to minors. Why do we let this happen? How do we as a society justify giving a $100,000 loan to an 18-year-old? If an 18-year-old walked into a bank and asked for a $100,000 business loan to start a restaurant, the banker would laugh them out of the building. They have no collateral, no business plan, no experience. The bank would call that irresponsible lending. But if that same teenager signs for a $100,000 student loan, we call it ambition. The system is designed to exploit present bias. The benefits of college are immediate: social status, dorm life, and the college experience. The costs, decades of monthly payments, are abstract and far away. By the time the student realizes the weight of the debt, they are 22, and the money is already spent. And then comes the sunk cost fallacy. Once someone has spent $100,000 and 4 years of their life on a degree, it becomes part of their identity. To admit it was a bad financial decision is psychologically devastating, so they rationalize. They say, it was worth it for the friendships. You can make friends at a job or a hobby group for free. Conflating personal growth with financial investment is how the higher education industry keeps the lights on. The incentive problem: why it won't fix itself. We have to talk about the system, because if you don't understand the incentives, you'll think this is an accident. It's not. Universities have no skin in the game. If Chloe graduates with a degree in a field with no jobs and $150,000 in debt, the university doesn't lose a penny. They already got paid. The federal government guarantees the loans, so the university gets their tuition check up front. This creates a subsidy trap. When the government makes it easier for students to borrow money, universities don't say, "Great, now our students can afford it." They say, "Great, now we can raise tuition." Meanwhile, employers have become lazy. They use a college degree as a free screening tool. A study from Harvard Business School found that employers now require degrees for roles like executive assistant or production supervisor, roles that haven't changed in 30 years and certainly don't require 4 years of academic study. This is degree inflation. It's an entry fee to the middle class that keeps getting more expensive while the rewards stay the same. David's framework: how to fight back. So what do you actually do? If you're a student or a parent watching this, I want to give you a framework for making this like a rational adult. Calculate the true all-in cost. Include tuition, fees, room, board, and interest on the loans over 10 years. Then add the opportunity cost, the roughly $140,000 in wages you didn't make while studying. Choose your major with your eyes open. Passion is a luxury for people without $100,000 in debt. If you want to study art history, do it at a community college or through a low-cost online program. The 2-year hack. Do your first 2 years at a community college for a few $1,000s, then transfer. Your diploma will still have the name of the big university, but your debt will be cut by 60%. Explore alternatives. Coding bootcamps, trade certifications, and professional licenses are often the smartest